Hello and welcome. This is Cherie with Rehashfiber, and today I'm going to share with you a wonderful sea turtle pattern. And then later in the show, I'm going to tell you about a couple of things that are very interesting to watch. All right, so I have here this fantastic crochet pattern. It is called Sea Turtle. It is by Megan Lapp of Crafty Intentions. You can find the pattern on Ravelry. The reason I made this is for the Community Coral Reef, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to explain some more about the pattern. All right, so it is an intermediate level pattern, and I chose worsted weight yarn to do it in. I bought the Berroco yarn vintage from my local yarn shop, Pan Bang Knits, and it was really a pleasure to work with. So the reason I chose these colors is I pulled up sea turtles online. I wanted to be similar to the colors of the natural sea turtles, and so this is what I came up with one of the pictures. We have here the colors of Chana Dell is the lighter brown, chocolate is the darker brown. The color number fell off of the one that I used, that is the white, but I think it's the buttercream. And then they did not have worsted weight. This is called pumpkin in the DK weight. And I just held a lighter yarn with it that I had here that's a similar color so that it would match the worsted weight. Now, the additional things you will need is stuffing for your turtle. You will need 24mm black eyes, and that's it. Now, I thought the designer was super clever because I put the eyeballs on and I'm like, those are some big old black eyes, but yet she has you work up these eyelids that make the turtle eyes just look really great. I loved it. We also have this cute little beak here too, and some little nostrils. So the guy is great. She did a wonderful job designing it, and I thought it was a ton of fun. Now, if you're thinking, whew, there's a lot to that, it's not so bad. Take it section by section. Now, there is a lot to print up because she gives you great instructions. You can do text only, but I recommend doing the pictures because you can then follow along with what you're doing and what she's saying and match it to her picture. And it really did help explain some things along the way. It's done in parts. So I just looked at it as I'll do a part a day. So like top of shell, bottom of shell, a couple of fins, the shell tiles, and just broke it down. And the next thing you knew, all the parts were done and it was time to sew it together. And that went very quickly. She does give you a couple of options for the shell. I took the one that is a little bit longer because you make each tile and you have to sew it on. She does have another option where you crochet a sectional design on top, and she said that goes faster. So you can choose however you'd want to do it. Now mine with the worsted weight ended up being 15 inches from nose to tail and 9 inches going across the shell. So I think it is just a great weight for whomever, for the coral reef or as a gift for somebody else. So this little guy is going to stay with me for the next month. We're going to go to the beach and do a photo shoot. And then in the new year, he's going to go off to Christina Harkness for the Community Coral Reef. So about that. Very exciting, and if you've watched this show, you've heard me talk about it before because I think it is the neatest thing, and I've spent time with Christina Harkness while she was prepping all of this stuff for one of the shows. So here's the deal. She has created a fiber art coral reef. She did a lot of the work herself, and then she also asked anybody and everybody who would like to contribute corals or anything that would be living on the reef. People did it. She had a ton of stuff. She made great displays and had her first show in Lincoln City last fall. And it was a blast because I followed along on Instagram and got to see everything that was going on. So if you want to know more about her and the Community Coral Reef, you can go to the website, which is coralknitfiberarts.com. If you want to follow what she's doing on Instagram, it's at coral_knits. If you want to have some fun, I recommend checking it out because I've only felt joy when I've seen all of the things that are going on. And I just think it's amazing to see the fiber art things all come to life, put together and making such a great exhibit. Her next show is in March of 24 in Salem, Oregon at the Willamette Heritage Center. So hopefully this guy gets to participate in that. It's going to be great. I'm going to go out for it. I love Oregon and I've not seen much of Salem, so that's going to be great. I want to be there for the show's opening day and then the day after interview Christina Harkness about whatever she wants to share with us. So a lot of good stuff coming up there. I also plan on making a couple more little creatures to go off in January, so I'll show those to you too. All right, on to the fiber fun talk. A couple of things for you to look at. I was perusing Instagram and I came across Georgia Rustic Wool. It's a sheep farm in Georgia, just north of me, that has Gulf Coast native sheep. So immediately I reached out to say, hey, is there any way you'd like to do a show? Joanne Mackey is the shepherdess and we communicated, and actually somebody had already done a show on her farm, and that is what I'm going to recommend to you to look at because it's great to learn about what it's like taking care of Gulf Coast native sheep. So that is on YouTube. It is from the Marigold Shepherdess and it is called Farm Tours Wool and Yarn from Rustic Georgia Wool. Check it out, give it a watch, and I think you'll find it very interesting. Now, that didn't stop me from my thought on doing a show. We just can't repeat the same information. So I emailed Joanne and said, is there anything else you would like to do that wasn't in that show, such as shearing day or lambing or anything else? Because I'm very curious myself and I would love to show that to you. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it's always fun to explore and strive. So, okay, then the next thing is, this is how my nights go most of the time. Curl up with some knitting and watch a little Netflix. Well, a new show popped up called Fry Bread, Face, and Me. Immediately, I knew it was going to be something with Native Americans because I grew up in my elementary years in Wichita, Kansas, and my mom was very close friends with a lot of Native Americans and that community. So we went to powwows and did a lot of things like that, and it was wonderful. And I had a lot of fry bread. So I knew what fry bread was. And so I'm like, let's check this show out. I'm not going to tell you too much, except it's a Navajo boy visiting his grandma in the summer, and she does some Navajo weaving. Now, as I'm knitting along and then it goes into subtitles because she's speaking in Navajo, I'm like, oh, I got to read the subtitles. I can't knit. Oh, but this is fascinating. So it was great listening to her talk, watching her do the bit of weaving that she does, and just how they tied that in. And it was just a good story. It wasn't all about the weaving. That was just a side thing, but I found it very, very interesting. And it's fun to see when somebody out there in the big world is doing our craft or a version of our craft. Theirs is such a tremendous heritage of the craft that is just a treat to see. So go ahead and check that out too. Netflix, Fry Bread, Face, and Me. Worthwhile. It's a simple story, but there's a lot of feeling in there. So I think you'll enjoy it. And just know that your knitting will be interrupted to read the subtitles, but it'll be worth it. All right. Good stuff. Enjoying my little turtle while he's here. So if you choose to crochet the sea turtle, happy crocheting, and thanks for watching.